I'm here to introduce our next speaker, Vinay Samuel. He is the founder and CEO of Zataris. And today he's going to talk to us about how to accelerate business value when building your data mesh. In his role, Vinay has disrupted the world by enabling instant analytics on decentralized data, finally solving some real-world problems for data platform leaders and analytics gurus. Vinay, a pioneer in event-based analytics and parallel database technologies in the mid-90s, went on to lead disruptive data analytics companies such as Netezza, Greenplum, Vertica, Gridnetics in Asia, and now Zataris. Welcome to the stage, Vinay.
Hey, how are you?
Vinay, hello. Welcome to the DATAcated conference. I'll start by asking, what time is it for you?
Oh, it's very early. It's, what is it, 5 in the morning. So nice and early right now in Melbourne, Australia. So great to be here, and congratulations. The conference is looking great.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate your commitment being up here at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna jump off the virtual stage here, let you take it away, and I'll be back in about 10 minutes for some questions.
Great, thank you. Okay, let me get going. Hi, folks. Thanks for the opportunity to present today. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to accelerate business value when you're building your data mesh. I'm actually going to extend it a little bit to, how do you accelerate business value when you've got a large, complex data layer in your organization where data is in different places. So at Zataris, we've built a thing called a network data platform, which enables instant analytics on any data anyway. And basically what that is, it's a real-time decentralized data platform. Let me first talk about the problem statement that we cater for at Zataris. What we're seeing in organizations today is that data analytics, and particularly access to data across the company, is really slow. It's really complex and usually very expensive. So when the business is trying to get an answer to their question, usually it's a time-bound issue, and time is the thing that kills the value in terms of that question or that analytic. And what we're seeing in organizations right across the world, so Zataris is operating across North America, in Asia, out of Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. And what we're seeing in big enterprises is that data is really everywhere. Data is in the cloud, in the edge, in the data warehouse, in the data lake. And what happens is that because the data is in very different shapes and in inconsistent time series, usually it's incompatible to just use seamlessly. And what organizations try and do is bring the data together by moving it to a central location or another storage layer. So for instance, you might have Teradata or Oracle on-prem. You might have some data in the cloud. You might be running a Kafka stream. And to get a single view of that data or those different data sources, the current practice is to create yet another instance or another copy of the data. And usually what customers do is, once they centralize the data by moving it, and mind you, moving is a tough process, usually means connecting to it, extracting it, cleaning it, preparing it, and after 80% of the time of the data scientist or data engineers taken up, only then is some value being added. Once they've got the data in a central location, what customers try and do is use some sort of compute framework or some sort of compute layer. So we're seeing organizations having not only a complex data layer in terms of storage and cloud and all of those things, they also have some very complex or complexity in terms of the different engines that they're deploying across their business. What all of that means is that their people are stuck with focusing on data preparation, data quality, rather than focusing on where the value is in building the analytic and building the data product. And so this whole problem we're seeing across the world is driven by the notion that to do analytics, data needs to be centralized in a central data warehouse, data lake, or some sort of store. And we're seeing companies actually, in many cases, fail in their data projects. And in fact, Gartner talks about an 80% failure rate in big data projects because it's just become too hard to bring the data together quickly. So what Zataris considered, or the thought bubble that created Zataris, was actually, what if we shift our thinking? What if we shifted to a new paradigm where you don't need to move the data? What if you left the data in your source systems? What if you left it in your current data lake, data warehouse, and when you wanted to join it across different clouds or across cloud into on-prem, you could actually just connect to it and have a software layer that would enable you to query the data or cross-query data in different places without actually moving it. And so the big shift is let's not focus on data preparation. Let's not focus on all those things we're trying to do as data engineers to set up systems and centralize it. Let's automate the tech and let's just focus on the business value. And so that's what Zataris is all about. Zataris is a new type of data platform which creates one single query window into all your data, regardless of where your data is. So Zataris enables you to automatically, and when I say automatically, I mean without code, connect to all of the common data sources that you have. Whether you have, SQL databases, you might have unstructured databases, you might have S3 buckets or blob stores. No matter where your data is, we have automated connectors to enable you to connect to it. And then we have an automated process by which you can handle the difference in that data and create conformity, apply transformation rules, business rules to actually create data products that are meaningful to your business user. So not only do we, I guess, take the query to the data, what we do is we enable our customers to apply and mix and match different compute engines like Spark, like Presto, and other compute frameworks that they have. And then we support any tool or any BI layer. So think of Zataris as this virtual window into your data landscape and the ability to be able to connect to the different elements in that landscape, different objects, create a view for your use case, and then use that view without moving any data in your tools. And that's the Zataris offering. That's how we take the friction out of this slow, painful, expensive data movement era that we seem to be caught in. So what does it look like under the hood? It's an automated data platform. It's all about enabling the data engineer, the data analyst, the business user to self-service across the data sources. So we enable you to connect to the data, and then very quickly, using our data catalog software, our pipelining software, our data quality software, very quickly you can, in a no-code environment, build out data products from various domains across your back-end data layer to ultimately take those products, apply specific compute to those products, and then deploy them across your common tools. So we support all of the tools that data scientists want to use, data analysts, business people want to use through JDBC, ODBC, and RESTful APIs. One thing about Zataris I want to make very clear: we're not just about ad hoc interactive query. We also support machine learning workloads. We also support ETL workloads. So think of Zataris as a mixed workload, real-time data platform that will enable you to create virtual data marts, virtual data warehouses, and virtual data products ultimately. Just moving on a little bit. So what's the big difference? So, we look at the open source community, and there's some great technologies which we leverage within our Zataris platform. So we actually automate these technologies like Spark and Presto and Ignite. But we compare how are people using the open source compared to the Zataris experience. And the real big difference is the automation, the no-code experience, the ability to build virtual data pipelines to handle complex transformations, all of that in an environment where you're generating business value, leveraging open source, but letting Zataris take care of the complexity of setting up those systems or managing those systems, and the complexity of actually building out code. So we take our customers from a code-bound, open source, framework-bound scenario to an automated, optimized solution that is made for self-service. Just moving on a little bit now. So just going a little bit deeper, what is Zetaris? Zetaris abstracts and automates and brings to life a combination of Spark, Ignite, and Presto. And what we have is a set of query optimizers, which are over-the-top optimizers, or optimizers that work externally across this framework to leverage the internal engine, the internal query optimizers, to give our customers a very powerful experience. So within the Zetaris platform, you have the ability to do things like, apply rules and create transformations in data pipelines. There's a powerful heterogeneous query optimizer that ensures that this mixed workload performance that you need for your data products to be performing well for your customers actually performs at the right level that you expect. From a deployment perspective, we support all of the usual standards, including the idea of order scaling and scale up and scale down. And you can see that we support the usual back-end platforms like Kubernetes and Azure and AWS. We have a very deep governance layer, which includes policy-based governance, or what we call query behavior governance, so that not only do we govern access or role-based access to the data of the user, we also govern what the user does with the data once you have access to it. And as I said earlier, in our virtual data pipelining, which you can use as Lego blocks and you can store as libraries or transformation libraries, within our those virtual data pipelines that help you sort the data and bring it together in a conformed way, you can actually insert advanced analytics. You can embed analytical APIs that you have that may be sitting out in the cloud. You can embed those analytics within the Zetaris framework, so they become part of your overall data layer or network data layer. So just to close off, to give you a little bit of a real world scenario, today at Telstra, which is a large telco in Asia, we are the Telstra Data Exchange software. And what we do is we connect to, I think it's around about 75 different data sources. And notice I use the word connect. We don't ingest anything. So we connect to a number of operational systems, whether it's their billing systems, their transport systems, or supply chain systems, also to their data warehouse, their data lake. We connect from on-prem across cloud, and then we enable their business users in an automated way to build out the business value, the data products. What this really does at Telstra is get the data engineers more focused on what's the right data product, how do I manage the data domain, how do I think of the data in a much more higher value way in terms of what are the best data sources to provision for my business user, to focus on the outcome rather than how do I stand up machines and how do I configure servers, why isn't this cluster running. All of that we have automated and we've abstracted away from the user, so that the whole focus of the data team, the engineering team, is about value. And so just closing off, we've got some great resources on Zetaris.com, so please come along to www.zetaris.com. We've got our dummies book, which is a nice simple explanation of our platform and how to use it. The beauty of Zetaris is that it's a SaaS platform. You can be up and running using Zetaris within minutes. You simply fill out a form on our website and you get access to it. We do have customers who run our SaaS in a private scenario, so they implement it behind their firewalls, whether it's in a private cloud or on-prem. And so that's one way of using it. Please look out for us on LinkedIn. We do have a webinar coming up with Forrester, which talks about how companies like Zetaris are changing the data world and stopping the needless or pointless pre-preparation of data manually, stopping the movement of data across complex ecosystems, and using automation and optimization to speed up time to value for the data mesh and for any organization trying to get to value rather than be hung up on preparing data. That's my presentation today. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Kate and everyone.
Absolutely. And thank you again for making it this early in your time zone.
No
We
problem.
have several questions that came in, and
Sure.
we have time for one or two questions right now. So let's go ahead and start with, I know you just mentioned that there is a webinar coming up, but Adam wants to see webinars of Zataris in action. Where's the best place to go, I guess, to get more resources and see Zataris in action?
Yeah, I think go to our website. So go to www.zataris.com, but also on LinkedIn, we've got the Zataris page. You can absolutely reach out to me, folks. I'm traveling across North America. I'm actually setting up there personally. We've got a team there already. We've got some customers. So reach out to me at vinay.samuel@zataris.com anytime. So those are the different ways you can catch up with us.
Okay, awesome. And Ramdas has a question here. How does one work on getting people or processes prepared for implementing data mesh?
Yeah, I think, the whole data mesh framework and the idea of creating data domains that produce data products is not just technology, right? It's also quite a significant organizational change. And so it's a great question, and it needs to be thought through for your specific organization. There's a lot of great content out on the web in terms of how to set up the data mesh framework. I know ThoughtWorks are leading the thinking in the framework and how to set up your business around it. In terms of the technology, we've built the technology that enables you to seamlessly and in real time create the domains, the data domains for the data mesh, and to automate the building of data products.
Got it. And we have time for just one more question here from Christian. What are the first steps that a company would take to adopt data mesh and Zataris?
Yeah, I think, as I alluded to, two things. One is the first thing is to start to think about your organizational effort in terms of the how you want to implement data mesh. I think data mesh is going to be implemented practically different by every organization. Some people will take a very pure view of data mesh from an organization perspective that, you have data teams in every domain producing products. Others will still hold on to the notion of a centralized team that manages the data mesh. So organizationally, you need to think through how you set up. Starting with Zataris, I think it's about getting on our system, starting to prototype. You can get certified on Zataris. So if you go to www.zataris.com, it's free certification. You can use our platform for free. We will give you credits and let you play, learn, prototype. The only time we want our customers to pay, and by the way, you pay on a usage basis. It's query per second paying. The only time we want you to pay is when you're actually using it for real business value and you're convinced that you're getting value out of it. So I think we've got like a 60-day trial, but many of our customers or people are trialing it, they tend to extend it by filling out a form with us, and we're happy to do that. We don't want any of our customers using Zataris and not getting value. So it's all about usage-based pricing, free trialing, and prototyping.
I love it. Thank you. And I think it's a great opportunity for those who want to learn more about data mesh to go ahead and check out that certification that Vinay just mentioned. So thank you so much for sharing that. And Vinay, I want to thank you again for taking the time to speak here at the DATAcated conference.
Thanks so much, Kate. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.